ओ ओ ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं. So today let's do the Gita Dhyanam, and then after that I'll explain, because we are combining the class, but the class will be on chapter 13, which all of you are doing, and adults, even though you are doing chapter 2, but for today we will summarize chapter 13, so it hopefully will be useful to all of us. So yeah, we will discuss summary of chapter 13 in brief, and then the students will talk about what they have understood from chapter 13. I'll ask them questions. So please fill out your attendance. We'll do the Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata, in the front, Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashaധ്യായini Amba Tvamanusandadami Bhagavadgite Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindayatapadra Yena Tvaya Bharatatailapurnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Vidnaya Krishnaya Gita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dohda Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandharani Lokpala Shalya Grahavati Kripena Vahani Karanena Vela Kulai Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavai Rananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharya Vachasarojamamalam Gitartha Gandhotkatam Nanakhyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsina Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha ध्यानावस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुत्सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय. All of you are chanting very good. Very nice chanting. It sounds very pleasant. And this Gita Dhyanam, as you know, is a homage to Bhagwan Shri Krishna, who gave the message of the Bhagavad Gita, and to Ved Vyasji, who put it into writing and put it in, and then to Arjuna, who is the student, and to the Supreme Lord, who is the creator of the whole universe, and Bhagwan Shri Krishna is a manifestation of that Supreme. So it is our homage to the Guru. And today, because the senior class, the teacher and the backup teacher are both out of town, so they will be joining us. And they are doing 13th chapter. So I know the adults are doing 2nd chapter, but you can listen to the 13th chapter. You won't lose anything. And I'll try to summarize the 13th chapter and then ask questions to the children, and hopefully they will give us some words of wisdom. So the 13th chapter, it is the chapter which talks about Kṣhetra Kṣhetrajña Vibhāg Yog. It is the chapter which talks about the field and the knower of the field. Kṣhetra is the field and Kṣhetrajña is the knower of the field. Yeah, so this chapter starts with a question by Arjuna, where he asks Bhagwan Shri Krishna a beautiful question, which actually combines the entire teachings of the 13th chapter. And in answer to his question, Bhagwan gives us the 13th chapter. And the 13th chapter is the one that has the essence of the Upanishads, though Bhagavad Gita throughout has the Upanishad going as a thread through it. But in the 13th chapter, most directly, the knowledge of the Upanishads has been given to us. So it is the highest knowledge. Not only who I am, but who is God and what is my relationship to God and to the world. All of you know the BMI chart. Are you all familiar with it? So if necessary, I'll cover it. Anybody not familiar with the BMI chart? No, everybody is. Huh? Everyone is? Okay. So the 13th chapter, Arjuna asks the first question that I wish to know, O Bhagwan. Very humbly he asks, what is Kshetra and Kshetrajña? What is the field? What is the knower of the field? And what is knowledge and what is that to be known? And what is Purush and Prakriti? So these three things he wants to know. What is field and knower of the field? What is Purush and Prakriti? Purush is spirit and Prakriti is matter. And what is knowledge and what is to be known through this knowledge? So 3 questions. I think you must have covered in your class, right? The 3 questions. So Bhagwan says that I am the knower and this body is the field. This body is the field. And I am the knower. I means here the consciousness. See, this body, mind, and intellect is me. And then I become a perceiver, feeler, and thinker. That is the ego, the individuality, and objects, emotions, thoughts are the world. So in a subsequent chapter, he also says that this entire universe is the field, including the vasanas, which are the unmanifest desires. But I, the consciousness, I am in all. See, Bhagavan Sri Krishna doesn't say, I am only in but in this avatar, but Bhagavan is in all of us. All of us as life, as consciousness, indicated by Om. The reason we are able to walk, talk, speak, listen, do all those activities, move hands and legs, because Bhagavan is functioning through us. When that happens, then we won't be able to do any activities. So I am the knower of the field, of all the fields, not only in humans, but in animals, birds, plants, fish, everywhere, wherever there is knowledge, Bhagavan says, I am the knower, I am the illuminator, I am the consciousness. Because of me, this whole universe is functioning. Then he talks about the field, and there are 24 aspects of what is this entire universe. So he says, first is the five great elements, Pancha Mahabhutas, air, space, fire, water, earth. So the whole universe is made of space, air, fire, water, earth, these five elements. You, me, the table, the chair, the wall, everything is made of five elements. Then he says Ahankar. Ahankar is the ego, this I and my sense, which is the perceiver, feeler, thinker. That is part of the entire universe. It is known. And then unmanifest vasanas. The vasanas is the avyaktam. So vasanas are not manifest, but they are within us. That's why somebody likes art, somebody likes sports, somebody likes engineering, computers, medicine. Different people have somebody likes to play football, soccer, volleyball. These are all our tendencies. Some people like to drink alcohol, cheat, smoke. So all good and bad activities are due to good and bad vasanas, which is the avyaktam, unmanifest. And then he says there are 20 indriyas. 10 indriyas, 5 gyan indriyas and 5 karma indriyas. Gyan indriyas means sense of the senses which give us knowledge. Eyes, ears, skin, nose, and tongue. It is because of those I am able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And then there are 5 organs of action: hands, feet, speech, reproductive and excretory organs. So 5 organs of action, 5 sense organs, and ek mind, ek mana, the mind which controls them, the shaikam. And then 5 are the objects. That means with the eyes, I see the sights. With my ears, I hear the sounds. With the nose, I smell. Tongue, I taste. Skin, I touch. Then he says, how are we to get this knowledge? Remember, he says jnanam and niyam. So instead of giving knowledge, Bhagavan gives us 20 values. Have you covered some of those in the class? In the 20 values, amanitvam, adambhitvam, humility and all, you must have covered. But these are the 20 values. We can read them: humility, not pretending, non-violence, forgiveness, straightforwardness, service to the teacher, purity. I think for the Zoom people, it is on your WhatsApp. Purity, steadfastness, self-control, detachment from objects, lack of egoism. No, life changes, that life is changing, childhood, you were children, then you became youth, then you become young adults, then older adults, gradually get older, and death. So that happens to everybody. And one should remain unattached to dependence and things. Do not depend too much on people or on things. Depend on myself, depend on Bhagwan. And remain balanced in the pair of opposites. Life, in life you will get heat and cold, joy and sorrow, success and failure. But remain balanced. Always keep the mind in God, love God. Preference for solitude. Spend some time every day in sitting in silence, contemplating on these teachings, and avoid crowded places too much. And self-knowledge and know the final goal. So these are 20 values. They're all very, very important. I'd like to ask each of the students which value hits them the most and which value we should practice and why. So maybe we can start from here. Out of these 20, pick one which you think is.
Do you want me to?
Huh? Yeah, give him the mic, please. Yeah, thank you. So pick any of the 20 values and see how they strike you, why do they appeal to you, and why we should practice them. Yeah, so people, these are very important. And why they are called knowledge, I will explain after you talk about the values.
So one of the values that I think is most important would be lack of egotism.
Right.
Because if you have too much ego, you're not willing to learn about yourself and how to better yourself. And it's lack of egotism that allows you to actually read and understand the Gita and learn the teachings of the Upanishads and of Bhagavan. And it's the first obstacle that you have to remove on your path to, becoming one with Bhagavan.
Very nice. Very good. Go ahead, please.
I think self-knowledge is very important because if you know yourself, then you can handle yourself in any situation.
So what do you mean by knowing yourself? What can you explain that? Who is this self that I need to know?
So you have to know your body first because you need to know what your capabilities are.
Mm.
You need to know your mind so that you know how to respond in certain situations. Like
Right.
if you know you're a very angry person, then you can stop yourself from being angry.
Yes.
Only if you know though. And then also your intellect. So you know like you should be thinking. And,
Very good. That's very good. But that is very good. That is knowing at this level. And that is wonderful. Your answer was perfect. But the Bhagavad Gita also takes us to know who your true self is. Who am I really? So in this BMI chart, you talked about body, mind, intellect. That's very good. And then vasanas, what are my tendencies? If I have bad tendencies, I should remove them, make them good. But the highest is Om. That is God. So God is in every one of us. So our knowledge not only should be about the world, which you told is perfect, but also I should know who is God, and that is my true essence. That is myself. So when the scriptures talk about self-knowledge, they talk at two levels. One is at the worldly level, and one is at the spiritual level, that divinity is me. I am divinity. I'm not separate from God. We shouldn't think God is somewhere in Vaikuntha or Kailasha or somewhere up in heaven. He is within. So constantly being aware of God's presence and knowing God as me, that is self-knowledge. So very nice answer. Thank you. And pass it on, please. A little loud and clear so people on Zoom can also.
I think forgiveness really is important because you can't really move past or you're always stuck if you can't forgive. And that way you can't find peace and be one with yourself if you're always holding on to something.
Very, very nice. Actually, today's topic for the children, the message on the board is forgiveness is strength. How does forgiveness give me strength? We will be talking in the class, in the hall.
Forgiveness gives you strength by if you forgive and you forgive yourself, you're happier with yourself and you can move forward and find strength within yourself.
Right.
Less holding that grudge and you can never move on.
Right. And forgiveness also, otherwise, if you counter hatred with hatred, violence with violence, you're just propagating that cycle. When you forgive, you break that cycle, and that gives you strength. It needs a lot of inner strength to forgive, but that's a very good value. Thank you. Very well covered. Go ahead, please.
I think the most important value is humility. Because if you're not humble or like humility basically means humbleness. And if you're not humble, a lot of things that you do in life, like a lot of your actions, the words you speak, your self-control, your independence, everything relies on your humility and how you react in certain situations.
Right. Very nice. And also you can only learn when you are humble. See, if you go to a teacher and think, I already know it, let me see what the teacher can tell us, then you won't learn. Like if you come here and say, I know 13th chapter, I know what can Anil uncle teach me, then the knowledge will not be there. Secondly, there is another phrase, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Knowledge gives you humility. See, we think that knowledge should give me pride. Oh, I know so much. I am so great. But if you really are knowledgeable, you should become more humble. That there is so much I don't know, and also grateful to the teachers because of whom I have knowledge. So humility is very important. That's why Bhagwan has put it first. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
I think detachment is really important because if you keep wanting like more and more, you're never gonna be happy because like you're not content with what you have
Right.
and what you need. You just keep like wanting this or that. So I think it's like important to detach yourself from materialistic objects and be content with like only the things that you need, like a home, like food and water. And that's when you'll be happy with yourself.
Right. And also detachment is very well covered. Detachment also means I do not depend on objects or people for my happiness.
Yeah.
What I need, I keep. And if I have extra, I share. That is how all the philanthropy comes. And then I do not depend on any person or an object that my happiness is there. Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda says, do not put the key of your happiness in somebody else's pocket. So I could put my key in a person's pocket. Somebody love me and then doesn't love me anymore. I become miserable. No, I am fine, whether this person is in my life or not. And I am also fine whether this object is in my life or not. Today I have a lot of money and said tomorrow stock market goes down. I don't collapse. And so that is detachment. Very well covered. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
I think service to your teacher is really important because they're the ones who teach you your life lessons, and through your teacher you can learn more about your life. And even then, like once you learn what you can learn from your teachers, you become a teacher yourself.
Yes.
So you expect that same service to yourself. So you need to return that to your teachers first.
Right. And teacher means all. It could be your one who taught you ABC in kindergarten or sports or, school teachers, Bal Vihar teachers. But what do you mean by service to teacher? Let me ask you that.
What I mean by service to teachers is that you can tie in other values. You can have self-control around your teachers. So if they're teaching you something and you don't really agree with them, then you can ask them questions. You can not really challenge them, but you can ask them more about what they're saying. And in that process, you're kind of serving your teacher because you're kind of expanding their knowledge in a way.
Right.
And then also serving your teachers means to respect them. So if they're teaching you something that you don't know already, so when you serve your teacher, you learn from them and you spread what they're teaching.
Right. So yeah, that's very good. Learning from the teacher. Serving the teacher also means helping the teacher. Say if the teacher needs some help in school or like in Bal Vihar or wherever. So you to help your teacher, wherever in sports, volunteer to help. More than that, that is all very good. The greatest service we can do to our teacher is to learn what the teacher is saying and abide in that knowledge. Learn it and then bring it into our life. It could be spiritual knowledge and Bal Vihar. It could be, morals or ethics, or whatever you are learning from your teachers. So do not just think of it as, okay, I have done to pass the exam. I have to pass, I have to get an A grade. So I just study and be done. But remember what the teacher has taught us, live that life, make that part of your life. So when you study here from your Bal Vihar teachers, use that knowledge to change your life. So teaching should result in transformation. If my life is not being transformed, then the teaching is useless. So I should teach, I should learn, I should understand, I should abide in that knowledge, I should transform my life and then become a teacher myself. I think you covered that I should then share this knowledge with whoever I have. So that's why service to the teacher, some people think service to the teacher, like some Swamiji comes, a lot of you have offered bhiksha, we give food to Swamiji. They are not here for the food. They are here to teach us. So learn from them and then abide in that knowledge. Thank you. That's a very good value. Go ahead.
I think important value is not pretending because I believe not pretending is like honesty. Like if you're honest about yourself and honest about others, there's a way you can improve and grow. Like if you have a problem and you're pretending like you don't, then you're not fully like
like fixing the problem. The first step to like fixing a problem is admitting you have a problem, and that's done by like being honest and not pretending. So
Right, and by not pretending, you show something you are not
mhm.
and give a false impression.
Yeah, you don't want to lie to others. You always want to spread like the truth.
Right, right. And then sooner the truth comes out and then people lose all respect for you. Very true, yeah. So not pretending, unpretentiousness. Also, what it means is that do not show off. You know, I may be good in something. So showing off to others is a part of that also. It comes in humility, also comes in this, that bragging or excessively, you know, arrogance, all that is. Thank you. That's very good. Next, please.
I chose detachment as well because you have to be detached from all materialistic objects, and once you realize that you can't have like greed, then you realize that your body isn't you, it's just a vessel. And so once you realize that, then can you only become one with God.
Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, so Swami Chinmayananda always said that in 2 lines, if you want to describe spirituality, is detach and attach. So detach from the world and attach to God. You know, that's what he says. So you covered the point very well, that as long as you are dependent on the world for happiness, you will be holding on to the world. Adults, we can also learn from that because we become so dependent on things or people or situations. But the more I turn my mind to God, how do I keep my mind in God? Since you have detached from the world, how do you keep your mind in God? Can you answer that? How do you attach to God?
You can also use the other value of solitude and take time alone to pray to God and do whichever path works for you. That's why we have different paths for different people to help devote themselves to God.
Very good. Yeah. So you detach from the world, attach to God, hold on to God, and that is where your final happiness will come, only in that. Because in the world, we look for temporary happiness. Whatever I have in the world will give me temporary happiness. Now it will give me happiness. Now I have a new car. After some time, it will become old and start breaking down, will give me sorrow. A person today is my friend, tomorrow is not my friend. Or, then again, but God is always your friend. God is always with you. So detach from the world, attach to God. Very good. Thank you. Yes, please.
I think an important one is solitude because, like, if you take some time out of the day to comprehend what you've really learned, then you'll understand and you won't really, I guess, throw away that knowledge. And once you're able to understand it, you can apply it into your life, and then you can keep on building on it and keep on strengthening yourself.
Very good. And also that accompanied by avoid crowds means do not all the time be with people. I need people to keep me happy. I can be happy by myself. Solitude also means phone. My phone or my computer is our biggest, takes away I am so equally guilty of that. I also spend more time than I would like to. I try, especially when the classes are going on, Sunday to Thursday, I have no problem. But when, like in the summer, there were no classes, you have a tendency to go onto the phone, phone or computer or laptop. So depending on electronics to give you joy, then you may be alone, but if you're and what happens, they say, I read somewhere that can you stay 10 seconds away without a phone? You leave the phone and stay 10 seconds, I won't touch it's difficult. Right? Because, let me see what's happening in the Mid East, or let me see in the elections, or whatever your interest, sports, who won foot. I'm not saying that one should not use the phone or the computer for knowledge and for entertainment, but all the time holding on to that electronic device, makes you very dependent and makes you isolated from yourself and from the world. So solitude is also turning off the phone. Okay, now after this, what you should decide a time. Okay, after this time, I will not put on the phone. Or in the morning, I won't. So set deadlines for yourself and learn to switch off the phone. so that the phone is no longer, plug it into the wall, they say, then you won't go chasing for it. So solitude includes that, but very good value. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so I also picked not pretending. So because you shouldn't pretend to be someone else who you aren't. Like you shouldn't change your characteristics or your personality just to impress someone or fit into a group. Like, for example, I read this one book this past month, and it was about this boy who left his father's path of spirituality and wanted to find his own path of enlightenment. So he didn't want to do what his father wanted, but he did what he wanted himself.
That's good. That's good. How about any other one you would like to add? Any of the others you think? That's good. You covered pretending very well. Add something else.
I also think forgiveness is good too
Yes.
because forgiving is what keeps a good relationship. And even if you do something wrong, forgiving will always not make it better, but make it a little better.
Right. Forgive others and also forgive yourself. And that is strength. To forgive others is strength. That's what we are going to be talking in the hall, in the main hall today. I think, how about purity, steadfastness, self-control? Let's see self-control. Anybody would like to talk about self-control? Would you like to talk about self-control, the value of self-control? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, self-control is important because, like Erika was saying before about your body, mind, and intellect it was self-knowledge. Self-control is almost like self-knowledge. Like if you know how you act, what your your good and bad vasanas are, in situations you can control yourself. Like not only by controlling yourself, you also control the situation you're in, which is really important. And you just know yourself better.
Give her the phone. Can you talk about non-violence, please? That we have not covered.
Like you said, when I was talking about forgiveness, non-violence is important because you can stop the cycle if someone's coming at you with violence. Being non-violent can help ease a situation and stop it right before it starts. And non-violence can give you strength because you have to fight yourself to not replicate what they're doing to you.
Yeah, violence can be at 3 levels. See, violence can be, first is you slap somebody or hit somebody or shoot them with a gun. That is violence. That is the highest. I'm not saying you should do it, but physical violence. Then violence can be by speech. You speak badly to somebody, harshly, rudely. Then you are hurting them also. You might, a slap, if you have hit somebody, that pain may go away after a while. But if you have spoken harsh words, that sometimes people remember for days, weeks, months, even years. You said this to me. So violence can be by action, by speech, and third is by thought. Even thinking negative thoughts about anybody is also violence. So if I think negative, because then slowly, my mind is focused on this negative thought, I start disliking that person. Oh, he's so terrible. He's so bad. Or she is so. And so continuously thinking negative, it will create first of all, will create disturbance in myself. If I'm angry, and then also it will ultimately lead to speech. If I don't think a lot about somebody, sooner or later it will come out. And then it could also end up in physical violence. That's why we see so many people, and now guns are easily available. People have these crazy thoughts. And one fine day, they take this gun and go to school and shoot people or go to a shopping mall or wherever, nightclub. So angry thoughts lead to angry speech and lead to physical violence. So non-violence should be at all 3 levels. I should not hurt anybody physically, speech. Even if something somebody is doing, I disagree with, like all of you said, forgiveness, because if you keep having negative thoughts, then sooner or later, and that will poison your mind. See, when we have negative thoughts, it poisons our mind. So that's why violence. A very good point. Can I turn it back to her? How about purity? What is purity?
Okay, purity. I think
when you say purity, I think like clean, like so maybe
Cleanliness of the
cleanliness of mind and body.
body.
Like in today's like society, like your stuff you could put into your body that can make it unclean. So not doing that. First work on your body and then also work on your mind too. So making sure it's clean of bad thoughts, bad like notions and like jealousy, like any vices, try to clear your mind and then also clear your body. So there's a physical and mental.
Right. And then not putting things like drugs and all in the body
Exactly.
that contaminate.
I also think purity is also related to spirituality.
Right.
Like the more like spiritual or like I don't know how to explain it completely, but like the more like spiritual you become, like the more pure your soul will be, like in a sense, because you're like following those like values.
That's very good. Thank you. Steadfastness.
So steadfastness is an important value because it teaches you to be it ties in a lot with self-control in a way. Steadfastness and self-control go hand in hand because when you have self-control, you're also steadfast and you are confident in not only yourself, but in those you surround yourself with. So if you have like, as you mentioned, like when you were talking about non-violence, your thoughts have to be like clean. You have to like bad thoughts lead to bad words and bad words lead to violence. So in order to be steadfast, you need to make sure that you don't have those kinds of thoughts.
Right. And steadfast in this sense also means uprightness. That means being straightforward.
So like kind of not pretending in a way.
Oh yeah, that I did straightforward. Yeah, so go ahead. Yeah.
So steadfastness, like you said, it's like to be straightforward. So you don't pretend about what you're gonna say. So pretend you're in a situation where you have to like you're in a situation, a bad situation you need to be honest about what you're thinking. So it doesn't result in another bad situation.
Right, very good. And also steadfast also means that in life, there will be situations that are not conducive. There'll be heat, then there will be cold, so without complaint, why is 110? You're living in Bakersfield, it will be 110. And then if you live in a cold climate, why is it 0 degrees? That's the nature of that. Then at the health and ill health, one day healthy, one day not healthy. So remaining without getting disturbed, then joy and sorrow. Somebody gives me joy, somebody gives me sorrow, but internally I should not be disturbed. And in success and failure. And in people who like me and people who don't like me, I should be steadfast in my knowledge and not get disturbed.
So kind of like being balanced.
Being balanced, yeah. Steadfast, balanced, all that. Yes, that's very good. Thank you. Let me see what is there. Know your final goal.
I think like having a final goal just means like you're motivated to complete that goal. It might take like maybe a year, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe another life to like reach your end goal. But it just keeps you motivated instead of just like being lazy and just staying at home and not doing anything about it. But it kind of just keeps you going in life.
Yeah, so it can be at 2 levels. So at the worldly level and at the spiritual level. So why don't you address both?
The worldly level could just be like, you could have small goals like, doing well on a test or then getting into college, getting a job. And then on the spiritual level, it'd be like reaching the self and like knowing yourself. Like after you complete all these small goals, like what is it that you truly want to achieve? And that would just be like reaching home.
Right. Very good. And at the worldly level, whatever goal I have, say I've decided to become a doctor or an engineer or a computer programmer or whatever my goal is, I should be the best. I should be the best doctor. I should be the best engineer, best lawyer, best computer program. So trying to be your best, not to put others down, that I should do my best and be honest in my career. So that is called. So knowing the worldly goal, I should be the best. And at the final is the spiritual goal. I think we have covered all. I don't think there is much else. But thank you very much for covering. So now Bhagavan Sri Krishna says that this is knowledge. How is this values? Why does he call them knowledge? Yes. Give her the mic.
Aren't all of these like values inside our Vedas that we learn from? So since all of our knowledge necessarily comes from these Vedas and scriptures, like that makes these values knowledge because they're like passed down to us.
Right. Okay. What else?
Once we know all these values and we like practice all these values, we can transcend all our vasanas. And once we get rid of our past vasanas, we can like finally reach the supreme consciousness or like Om.
Yeah, very good. That's very good. Yeah, go ahead, give it to her.
They call it knowledge because once our mind has perfected like all like we like know all these vasanas, we've perfected them, we can like go to the true knowledge or like the parampara. I think that's what it's called. So we can just reach the true knowledge.
Yeah. Parampara means the teacher to student, the knowledge that is passed on. Paramatman, yeah. No, Paramatma is Brahman or Paramatma is God. Yeah, but parampara is important in knowledge because the teacher to student, the knowledge that is passed on is called Guru Shishya Parampara. Parampara means the tradition. Okay. I think we are done with the values. Now, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is covering a few other topics. And one is Brahman or Om. Who is that and what is that? Who is this God? That is one, of course, God is the form. Like Bhagavan Sri Krishna played the flute and, played with the gopis and gave the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and destroyed a lot of demons. Bhagavan Sri Ram also, lived a life of honesty, truth, obeyed his parents, he did whatever his duty was at all times. And ultimately, his main purpose on this earth was to remove Ravana and a lot of demons who had damaged. So God at the form level is that, again, Mother Saraswati gives us knowledge and all that, all the different form. Lord Shiva is silence, peace, meditation. But what is formless? Formless is this Om, which is called Brahman. You know what is Brahman? Go ahead. Who knows? You shook your head. Yeah. What is Brahman? Yeah. Both of you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Brahman is a universal consciousness. It's basically like everything around you.
Give him the mic. Yeah. Give him the mic. Yeah. Brahman. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Brahman basically like be in everything around you. It can be like in a chair, it can be in a human. It's basically like I guess an example that Komalati gave us was about the light bulb and electricity. And so we're basically the light bulbs and electricity is basically the universal consciousness or Brahman. And so that's basically like what's lighting us up or like giving us our spirit. And
very good. And give us the ability to function. That's what it says. Itself, it doesn't have any hands or legs, but all hands and legs function because of Brahman. Like electricity does not have any heat or cold or movement, but because of electricity, the fan moves. Because of electricity, the heater heats. Very good example she gave, it cooling. So Brahman is that consciousness. That is one. What else does Brahman do? Anybody else? You have any other ideas?
I don't have any.
How about give it to her? I think she nodded her head.
Well, when you said Brahman, all I was thinking of was the song that the young kids sing. That's like Krishna here, Krishna there, Krishna, Krishna everywhere, and they use that for all the gods.
Right.
So that's kind of like Brahman, where like you said, Brahman's in everything and everywhere. But not only that, like Brahman, sure there might be like you should appreciate everything for what you should appreciate everything the same way. So like even the tiniest ant, they still have a life, they still have a purpose on this earth. Or like, for example, the spider. A lot of people are scared of the spider, so once they see that one, they like kill it, they put it away. But spiders are like really important because they kill a lot, they kill a lot of insects, and keep the ecosystem in a balance. So like Brahman is in that spider, Brahman is in all the insects, and Brahman is also in us. So we're all kind of equal because we're all part of the same universe.
Right. So we are all one because we are all manifestation of Brahman. That's very true. And also Brahman creates, sustains, and itself, Brahman it's himself or itself doesn't do anything, but then Brahman works through Prakriti, and we'll talk about that next. Prakriti and Purush. So Brahman we talked about, Prakriti and Purush. Anybody would like to say what is Prakriti and Purush? Have you any ideas? Okay, so Prakriti represents matter and Purush represents spirit. Purusha represents spirit, Prakriti. So all this is Prakriti, is matter. Even though you say, well, body is matter, but mind and intellect are subtle matter. Vasanas are also causal matter. They are all subtle matters. Objects are gross matter. Emotions and thoughts also are matter, but they are subtle matter. So the illuminator is Om. So that is the spirit. So there is Purusha and Prakriti, spirit and matter. So Purusha, that's why Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter, that this whole world was a creation of Prakriti. What is Prakriti? Prakriti is the creative power of the Lord. The Lord, when he becomes the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the universe, Brahman himself doesn't do anything, but Brahman takes the role of Ishvara. Ishvara is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of this whole universe. So as Brahmaji, it is personified, he creates. As Bhagavan Vishnu, he sustains. And as Lord Shiva, it is a creative destruction. It is not destruction, but like a flower has to become a fruit, right? Otherwise, it will never grow. A child has to become a young adult, then to see his full potential. So night has to die and day has to come, childhood, youth. So and then also somebody is very old or some car is very old or a house is very old. Ultimately, we destroy that, right? The house is like 30, 40, 50 years old. It doesn't, serve any function, maybe more than that. Then the house you demolish and build a new house. So all three are required. Creation is required, sustenance and destruction. Like if the dinosaurs were still there, if that comet had not come and hit the earth would still be populated by dinosaurs. The humans could have never survived. So creation, sustenance, and dissolution are all three required. So Brahman takes the role of Ishvara, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer. So through Prakriti, it creates the world, sustains it, and then when it is no longer useful, destroys it. So that is Prakriti and Purusha. And Brahman, as we said, has many qualities. Itself doesn't do anything, but in the presence of Brahman, our ability to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, we can call that God, but it is God in the unmanifest form that you can't see. You can't see, hear, smell, taste, touch Brahman. But at least Bhagavan Sri Krishna came on earth. So we know he used to play the flute and, eat butter and go with the cows of Bhagavan Ram. But Brahman is unmanifest. It's not known to any of us. But Brahman's presence we can know. Like electricity, you cannot see. But if the light is working and the fan is working, there is electricity here. So similarly, Brahman we cannot see, hear, know, but the manifestations are all of us. So just as, like say you belong to a particular family, right? And then you go out and misbehave, do something, commit a crime, then they say, you know what, look, his or her parents were so nice and why did he do that or why did she? So you're bringing shame upon the family in a way, right? You're doing something wrong. So similarly, we are all from Brahman, from God, divine creatures from God. So we are God's children. So just as if I belong to the family, I have to do what is good for the family, what is prestigious. So when I belong to God's family, I have to be divine. So my actions and my qualities should be divine. That divinity is. So how do I, that's why when we see all these Mahatmas, Swami Chinmayananda or Tukaram or Narsi Mehta or Mirabai or all these great saints, you can see God's presence so clearly in them. Swami Vivekananda, they were able to share this knowledge with all of us, this divine knowledge. Why? Because they identified that I am with God, I am one with God. And once you identify, then your actions should be divine. If I am a God's child, I should not bring infamy to my father, right? Or my mother. If you say Mother Saraswati or Mother Durga, now we are going to be celebrating Navratri from Thursday, and we worship the three aspects of Mother Goddess, Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. Next Sunday, we'll be talking about it in the hallway, in the assembly. So I should not bring disgrace to my family, not bring disgrace to my parents. So if God is my father, then I should be a divine person. I should not be a criminal. I should not be. So that's called Prakriti and Purusha. And even though undivided appears divided, what do we mean by that? God, even though undivided, appears divided. Can anybody answer that? Adults? Yeah, go ahead. You have answer.
Well, we all know that God is in everything, but like physically, like when we look at something, we put like a name to it. We talked about this in like past chapters, but like God is like, how we have multiple gods, but in reality, they are all one God. We
Yes.
just put like our own like name to it. These are like our own like Maya. And that's like how God appears undivided or divided, even though he's not. Like we put our own name to like stuff, and we like single it out. Like there's like an object.
Yeah. No, we don't put our names to God. One God takes multiple forms. So expresses as Bhagwan Sri Krishna and does all the leelas. And then as Sri Ram does all the things. As Lord Shiva, he's in meditation. As Vishnu, he sustains the whole universe. As Mother Saraswati, she gives us knowledge. So there is one God that takes multiple forms. The example they give is, suppose there is a lady, at home, she's a wife, and she's a mother. So to the husband, she's a wife. To the children, she's the mother. To her brother, she becomes a sister. And to her parents, she becomes a daughter. So is she mother, sister, daughter, what? She's all of them. Then she goes to work and she's a manager in the company. So there she's a manager. And then she finishes work and goes plays tennis. Then she's a tennis player. So that same lady plays multiple roles. It's one, but is playing multiple roles and gets different names. So same way, one God plays multiple roles and gets different names. So that is, and in each one of us, God is there. There is God here and God in her. But in between the space, is there God or not? Yes, God is everywhere. So even though God is undivided, it appears divided. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu, Bhagavan says in the 13th chapter, that even though there is one God undivided, it appears that there is a gap between me and her because there is nothing there. No, there is nothing there. There is God there. So God is everywhere. And that's why that's one of the important points in the 13th chapter about the qualities of Brahman, undivided, avibhaktam vibhakteshu. Then at the end of the 13th chapter, God gives two examples, space and sun. Maybe on this side they haven't talked. We can bring the mic. I'll ask them why one can talk about space and why one can talk about sun, that God is like space and God is like sun. Go ahead.
God is like space because like space, you don't always see
You have
it.
3 translation services. Do you want to use Bixby translation?
God is like space because even though you don't always see space, it's always there, like in between like everything. And I'll let Om answer some.
No, finish about space. You talk more about space. Anybody else can talk about space more than what she said? Space is everywhere. See, space is inside and outside. Is outside as everywhere and inside also there is space. Not only that, space is infinite, goes on and on and on. It is trillions and trillions of miles. In fact, they say that there are some black holes that have trillions of stars, and this goes on for trillions of miles. And some of the light that's coming to us, the star is already dead billions of years ago, and the light, so how extensive, and all that is covered in space, right? So space sustains and supports everything, but is even beyond that. It's even beyond all the planets, all the stars. Not only that, space does not get contaminated. So like, for example, there is raining, right? The air gets wet in the rain. Does space get wet? No, space doesn't get wet. You light a fire and there's a lot of smoke, or there is a forest fire. The air will get contaminated, but space won't. So space is uncontaminated, unaffected by whatever is happening. So space is like that. First of all, it is infinite everywhere. Goes on and on and on and on. And we don't know where space ends, right? I mean, scientists even cannot tell us. Then space is inside and outside everything and sustains everything. And space is constant. It is unchanged. It is that. So that's why, that's some of the reasons why God is compared to space, right? Anybody has anything else to add about space? Okay, we can talk about the sun.
So I think that the reason that God is compared to the sun in this segment is because similarly to how the sun serves as a source of energy and life for all things on earth, God serves as the source of energy and as the creator of all things in the universe, not just the creator, but also make sure that things keep going and also ends things when they need to be ended. It's the source, the beginning and the end of all things, similarly to how the sun is both the source of all life on earth and is also the source of gravity that keeps the planets in motion.
Very good, very good. Also, the sun, they also give, anybody else would like to add about the sun? What else the sun does? Why sun is compared to God? We worship, we call it Surya Dev. We do Gayatri mantra chanting, that is a prayer to God. Why sun is compared to God? This is, of course, very good that it creates and sustains and maintains life, gives us light, heat. Otherwise, the earth would be frozen like the distant planets. They are just pure ice, they are completely frozen, minus 300 or whatever. No life can sustain. So earth has life because the sun gives us heat and light both. But sun is also why we consider sun as God, because sun gives heat and light equally to everybody. Sun doesn't say, oh, this is a good person, I'll give him more heat and light. This is an evil person, I won't. Sun gives equally its energy, its heat, its light to all. You even, crook, demon, so it's the same way. All good and bad, without distinction, it supports everything, plants, animals. So similarly, God is the power, the essence that sustains all of us, whether it's a good person or an evil person. They say, well, why does God give energy to the evil person or the good person? God says, I give energy equally. Like sun says, I give energy equally, but somebody could use solar power and create something, or create some very nice, some equipment to cure cancer, or to some new computer or some new scientific. Another person could use solar power to make a gun, to get the power to make a factory that produces, horrible guns, AK-47s. So the solar power can be used to help society or can be used to kill people, right? Sun has no blame on that. Sun doesn't say, I get credit for using me for serving and I get discredit for, no. Sun says, I give power equally to all. How you use the power, it's up to you. So same way, Om or God or consciousness gives life to each and every one of us. What makes us good and bad are our vasanas. I think some of you talked about vasanas. Vasanas are our good and bad tendencies, our habits, and vasanas determine my thoughts, my emotions, and ultimately my actions. So a person who has an alcoholic vasana loves to drink. Even you stop him, he'll go and find alcohol from somewhere. Another person likes to serve society. He will do that. No matter how much, how many problems come, like Mahatma Gandhi, how many problems he had, but he continued to serve society. So all these great, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, they lived their life to help others. So God gives equal energy to Hitler and to a saint like Mother Teresa or Saint Francis. But how you use the energy given by God determines whether you are good and bad. And then God has a law of karma. Law of karma is that what you do, you will get the results. And that happens to everybody. Every good action gets rewarded. Every bad action gets punished. Not by God, but the action itself has the seed. If I do a good action, it is a seed of a good result. If I do an evil action, it has the seed of evil. So God has made the law, but God doesn't interfere. He says, if you have done wrong, and it may not happen right away, somebody is doing bad and he becomes prosperous, but sooner or later, his karmas will catch up. He will have a bad, maybe his children will turn out bad, if his life is of drugs and he lives out of that, what kind of children? They will learn the same thing. Or in old age, he will have illnesses, he will have suffering. Majority of the actions we do, good or bad, we have the result in this life itself, 90%. But a small percentage which are not, then they get carried to the next life. That is karma phala, the fruit of action. That's why we find some children are born intelligent in nice homes, and then other children are born with physical or mental disabilities or illnesses, childhood. So these are all the result of their good or bad karma. So God is like sun, gives his energy equally to all, and then gives us freedom. Humans are the only ones who have freedom to choose. And a lion cannot say from tomorrow, I'm going to become a vegetarian lion, only eat fruits and vegetables, not kill animals. No, animals don't have a choice, but humans have a choice how we live our actions. So that is why he is compared to the sun and gives equal energy to all. And then it is up to us. So same way, God is the one that is the nourisher, sustainer, and then we have choice how to live our life. I think we'll end here. Any other questions, comments? Anything you agree or disagree with? Yes, please.
So the law of karma, you just briefly talked about it, so I'm gonna ask.
Give him the mic, please.
So I know you briefly talked about the law of karma just recently, just now, you were just talking about it. The question I have is karma affecting humans and animals in the same way? I know you said, animals pretty much act on instinct, they see something, they do it, they don't have really a choice. But to break that cycle, then what can animals do, or how do animals break that cycle of karma to then say, okay, you know what, I'm going to liberate myself and, go somewhere else and become better? How can they liberate that cycle?
Yeah.
They really can't decide between what is good or not good, and they're just, acting on instinct.
Right, that's a good question. See, that is the Darwin's theory of evolution, that we started as protozoa, then we became fish. So all species evolve. And so ultimately they will evolve to the level of monkeys, chimpanzees. And then from there, yes, they can in subsequent lives, they can. But they don't evolved through karma. That is the natural process of evolution. But also they say that if an animal lives with a saint, lives in the house of a saint, or a cow lives in a house where a lot of prayers are done, a lot of good actions are done, a lot of chanting, then that animal evolves very quickly to human. An animal can directly, quickly go to human. So if they are in the presence of company of saints or wise people. So for them, yeah. And for humans, of course, again, there is evolution in human also. Gurudev calls them as, stone man, plant man, animal man, man, and then superman. So stone man is one who is completely dull, plant man. And then animal is who has a lot of animal tendencies, violence and all that. And then from that you become a man, and ultimately superman are these great Mahatmas, not superman who can fly on the, and have, all these superpowers, but the one who have evolved beyond humans. So does that answer your question? Yeah.
I would like to say, Hari Om, I really appreciated the students coming in today. I would request to have this more often.
Okay, whenever you would like to come. We can. No, I think they have their own teacher because they have the discussion based on their own. But they in the room next door, Komal Desai is their teacher. But thank you for coming and thank you for your comments. Let's give them a big hand. Very nice answers, very good comments. No, most of them have been coming to Balvihar for many years, so it's a accumulated knowledge. But thank you all for coming. I hope I was able to keep you involved. You didn't get too bored. Okay, we'll do the closing. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukhabhat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Hari Om. Thank you very much. Hari Om.